What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And boy, oh boy, do I got an interview with y'all. I just stopped at the Georgia DOT station, and he unpacked a lot of information. So make sure that you stick to this video all the way to the end. He talks about Prepass, how they don't use it in Georgia. We talk about personal conveyance. We talk about parking on off ramps, what to do, what not to do, a lot of stuff. So make sure you watch it all the way to the end. And by the way, if you're new to my channel, make sure you get subscribed. I put out videos like this every day trying to help you succeed as a truck driver. Let's get into it. A couple of questions that we're kind of confused about on the all right, sounds good. Thank you. If you just take a few minutes of your time, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. Nasty day, ain't it?
That's a normal day for us.
Appreciate it. So got a couple questions about the Prepass.
We don't use it in Georgia.
Huh?
Doesn't work in Georgia.
What do you mean don't work in Georgia?
Oh, well, we don't use it.
Yeah, I don't use it. Okay.
Other states do.
Okay.
But we got rid of it.
So you got rid of it. Okay. So if we get a green light coming by and it says must enter, we got to pull in, right?
Yeah, ignore Prepass in Georgia. Pay attention to the verbal signs.
Correct.
As Georgia goes. Now, everywhere else, I can't remember who uses it.
I did not know that. See, I didn't know that.
Governor wanted it gone.
When did this go into effect?
About 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, the governor and the colonel, the state patrol said no more because Rosedale and companies, they rightfully pay to use it.
Correct.
But we had discovered overweight trucks get green lights.
Right.
Just because it's at random or it's selecting by safety scores and all that. So let's say Rosedale has a pretty decent score, but let's say you're overweight that day.
Right.
You're basically getting a green light to
Be overweight.
break a civil law, not a criminal law. So for several years in 2014 through 16, we wrote down every single overweight, but we had to do extra answers like, hey, do you have Prepass? Yes or no, and we would do the numbers and all that, and we presented it to the statistics, and Governor Deal at that time and Colonel McDonough of the State Patrols or with the troopers presented this to powers that be at Prepass. Said, hey, we need to fix some technological problems about it, and they pretty much said no because through the year, because overweight tickets go to the true general fund of the state of Georgia.
Correct.
Whatever the general fund is.
Right.
It doesn't go to us. It
right.
doesn't go to the counties. It doesn't go. It just goes into the general funds for infrastructure for the roads to the DOT, and it was in the 7 to 8 figures of overweights.
Wow.
Statewide for over a several year period.
Right.
Millions and millions.
So I was wondering about that. Well, that's the questions that I was asking different states. Is that if you Prepass is green, what if you're doing the weight out here on the road and you're overweight? Or what controls it from going green to red? Is it just Prepass, or can y'all manually do it?
The
So
Prepass transponders don't work with any of our stuff in here, minus when we had the.
Well, that answers my question then.
Now some states still run it. They run Easy Pass, and there's 5 or 6 different passes.
But y'all don't use any passes in Georgia.
We have a WIM out there now that you ride over. That was installed several years ago.
Do we got to be in the right lane?
Yeah, got to be in the right lane. It'll let us know if you weren't. In the
Yeah.
right
So how does that happen? So if we let's say a driver, because I see drivers, I'm like, well, maybe they got a green pass to get over, and they just go.
It alerts us, which we don't have it turned on right now. There's scanners that even picking up all the lanes. That is reading the tags, scanning the DOT numbers, and saying, hey, this truck bypassed.
Wow.
If we have the manpower, like on days like today, we might.
You either can call the company or go after them.
We go after them, do a traffic stop for bypassing.
Okay.
To obey a traffic control device.
Okay, good.
Which there's a sign saying all trucks in the right lane.
Right, it says it.
And so that's a traffic control device.
Okay.
Sign as a device.
Okay.
So at least in Georgia, getting that right lane, the WIM will do its thing. Weigh in motion is what it stands for, WIN.
So if it says closed, that don't matter. We just book it on.
Yep.
It don't matter. You got to be in the right lane then.
Those signs, at least up here, and I think 2 or 3 others, none of the signs will ever say closed. Now, ours is black right now because the signs have been, wires have been destroyed by accident. and they're still working on getting it fixed.
So on that situation, are we
always say truck bypass? If that sign's black,
just bypass it?
Station's closed.
Station's closed. Okay.
Technologically, because that sign can't work and can't.
So you're not disobeying a sign because it ain't working.
As far as this one, now that one over there is working perfectly.
Right.
I know Forsyth is working perfectly fine, which is down there at mile marker 188.
Right.
I can't speak for 20, 75, 85, and all the others.
Just 85.
But if it says that, now the other states, I can't say how they do theirs because everybody is
Right.
different. But if it says truck bypass,
Right. All right. So let's.
enter, and then you'll follow the green arrow or the red X.
Perfect.
It'll tell you. If it
Perfect.
says green
Yeah.
arrow, follow it.
Correct.
If it says this way, then you go.
I was in Florida a couple years ago and it said green arrow and I was going this way and then happened there was a guy or an officer right there. He just happened to step back and say, come on over here.
Yeah.
And it was a great inspection. It was a level 3.
Because we can change it all right here.
Yeah, he just stepped out and was like, all right, go ahead and gave me a good level 3 inspection, which was, we got some good, I guess, good answers on that. So my next question is going to be, which is controversial kind of, well, it's not really, but it's personal conveyance. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. If, let's say, for example, right now, I pulled into this station and I had 7 minutes left on my clock and I'm thinking, I'm going to stop at Georgia. And I pull in here and now it's packed. There's no parking. Am I allowed, this is the different answer I get, to PC to the next safe haven, or do I have to go backwards to the next safe haven?
It's always, it's the weirdest of gray areas because if you line 4 more officers from this department up and ask them
They're
separately,
different.
you're gonna get difference. The way I look at it is, let's be practical about it, making you go back. How is that any different from letting you go forward, as long as you're not being egregious about it? So let's
Correct.
say, for instance, there's no other truck stops between here and Chattanooga.
Right.
It's 11 miles.
Right.
But there's several exits.
Right.
Stuff like
There's
that.
a couple. I know of a couple spots. There's like a
With
Waffle
few
House
spots,
up here I could park
right
at.
up here at the Circle K. But let's say that there's a supposed spot up here at this Circle K. Now they're going to be building Loves up here soon. Let's say Circle K's got a few spots. It's early enough. Here got packed. There's open. And that's granted only a mile to 2 miles. If I was to stop you in between that, if you're hauling it under personal conveyance at that point, you're going to get a lot of follow-up questions from the officer, like, okay, why are you hauling personal conveyance?
So it's better for me to go off just to violate the 2 minutes and put in the notion.
Now, it would be best to, when you're operating a personal conveyance at that point, you're not being compensated by Rosedale.
Correct.
At that point, you're telling Rosedale, it's on me.
Right.
You're basically giving them those hours. That's like if I work 10 hours today and only logged 8 hours on my timesheet.
Correct.
It's like, it's the same kind
Right,
of...
right. But I'm advancing the load forward.
Yes. If you're advancing the load forward in a practical, if the officer's just not being a pain in the butt about it and being practical, if you go up 2 miles
Right.
to where there's a safe
Right,
haven,
right.
okay, let's just call it what it is. Okay.
There was that.
But now if you're advancing it 10, 15, 20 miles down the road, come on,
Okay.
Hoss, because
So I should have just better.
most of y'all are not beyond stopping on a ramp somewhere and parking.
No, not. Yeah.
Some won't. A lot of them will. Granted, you shouldn't, but let's just call it for what
It is. This parking situation is
Yeah.
terrible.
Because even if you backtracked,
You're still driving.
who's to say if you went actually all the way back down to Rosedale's location and parked, that's a 15-minute drive.
Yeah.
15,
yeah.
20-minute drive, depending on which direction
Yeah,
you go.
you still.
all
That, I agree. It's such a gray area.
Exactly.
So what happens if I'm on a ramp? We're talking about ramps. Let's say I'm parked on a ramp, and you're a nice officer. You understand I'm tired, but I'm out of hours. But you're like, listen, the city's on my tail. Can't be here. You've got to go. But I have no hours.
Yeah.
What happens then?
We've had that issue over the past 2 years. We've had a lot of problems with trucks on the ramps, at least from Emerson, if you're from this.
Yeah, Red Top Mountain Road.
From Red Top all the way up to here. At one point, the captain of the state patrol in this troop, Captain Prather, said, hey, we want you to go out there and help us enforce this. One, because a lot of the ramps don't have signs, but it's
Right.
also kind of a well-known thing. You can't park on the ramp. Yes, there aren't signs on every ramp. That's kind of one of those argue in court. Well, there wasn't a sign. Well, it's also implied you're not supposed to speed. You don't see a speed limit sign everywhere.
Right, that's true. That's true.
We had to kind of rebuff them on that and say, okay, we will go out there and help you, but we cannot, and y'all cannot, meaning the troopers I was working with, or the county, like Gordon County.
Right.
You legally cannot make them move.
Can they tow us?
If they wish to tow or impound, that's a pain in the butt move for an officer to do that.
Right.
Because we've told them, now granted there's going to be officers that hadn't come across our order on that, is making them move is entrapment. You are giving them an order to then violate federal regulations.
Correct.
Now, if there's a wreck right there, and it's like, hey, we need you to move out of here so we can, because this tanker just got hit, and if you don't, you might get blown to bits. Well, that's one of those.
Yeah.
Notate it on your log and move.
Right.
And just, if you get stopped that same day, tell the officer, hey, here's what happened.
So just notate it, say I was by official or something.
And I always told them, I was like, okay, especially down there, we can still write you a ticket we tell them, hey, anyone can write you all a parking ticket, improper parking, sign here.
And then leave you alone.
And see ya, kind of deal. I've always told them, do not give them, we've been told, and told others, do not give them a lawful order to move, because I always ask them, I had one or two, like, hey, do you have enough hours? Now, sir, I parked about 4 hours ago. Okay. Can't make you move. I've asked the guy, do you have enough hours? Yeah, I slept for 12. I've been right here for 12 hours. All right, you're good to go. Go ahead and get yourself
right.
and go. Now,
I'm glad you answered that, because that's
a order to leave.
Yeah.
But I told them, write them the tickets all you want. Technically, they can tow the load. That's just a
bad move
unless it's just the driver's being a rude or rude.
Right. I had a trainee call me, and he was in, I forgot where he was at. He's like, look, man, I don't have any hours. They're making me move. And I said, dude, he said, I'm tired, Shawn. He's like, I literally cannot see. He's an older guy. He's like, I can't see. I'm out of hours. He said, I've already been parked here for like 3-4 hours. He's like, I don't feel like I should drive. I said, you tell the officer that? He said, yeah, he told me he's impounding me if I don't move.
Impounded. At that point, tell you,
I said, but you've already admitted to being sleepy.
Yeah.
And then if you drive, I said, they're going to get you for that.
Totally admitted, as how we look at it is, when we put a driver down for that, it's called ill or fatigued.
Yeah, because if I tell you I'm too tired to drive, then I'm admitting something.
I literally stopped the guy the other day, and he looked tired. First, he looked high, because it's just the way his eyes was, and turns out that's just the way he physically is.
I've seen drivers with contacts like that too, where their eyes will be bloodshot.
He was just kind of like this. And I'm like, you tired? And I said, you tired? He went bloodshot, white as can be. No other smells of impairment. He just said, no, I'm tired. And I'm like, you tired? As soon as I hear that magic word, I'm like, tired?
Yeah.
How tired are you? What time did you start? He said, I just started 2 hours ago. He said, I just didn't sleep very well last night.
That's enough, though.
I was like, well, I didn't have any less safe movements. He was driving. I just stopped him for a random logbook inspection. He had other issues. He was suspended, so he went to jail. But it's one of those, we've told them, we always let the drivers know, hey, you're still under the liability. If someone rear ends you, even if it's their fault, for, let's say someone like today, hydroplanes, I said, you're still at a higher risk of liability, because you weren't supposed to be there anyway.
Right.
Because call Ken, one call, that's all.
Yeah.
They're going to argue
that you should have been in the way.
Yeah, Miss Davis was driving too fast for conditions, which is how we title that. If you hydroplane,
right,
that's too fast for conditions or speeding, but you weren't supposed to be there.
Wow.
If she didn't hit the rear end protection of your trailer or went up under your trailer, she might have just hit the guardrail and been okay.
Right.
That kind of deal. You can see how a defense attorney might
Yeah, definitely.
Prosecution.
Definitely.
She could have just kept rolling, and then just come to a complete stop. Instead, she hit the back axle of a Great Dane, and the Great Dane's going to win.
Right.
A heavy movable object.
Exactly.
Friction's going to work, and science is going to do its job. But so I tell guys, if you're given a lawful order, if you wish to comply with it, say, the officer saying, I'm giving you an order to leave, I'm like, okay. And you can tell Giles down there, like, hey, he gave me a lawful order to either be arrested or towed, and notate it on the log at that point. What I've told some guys is, like, if you know that there's a short distance where you can get from wherever they're telling you, let's say, if you're down that red top.
You're not Melissa's son, are you?
Yeah.
Are you really? Okay. Nice to finally meet you. I'm Shawn. Okay. I don't know if she's told you about me or not.
From that ramp down to the Loves, I've told guys, use personal conveyance.
Okay.
Move to this spot. Literally move to this spot, no more than a mile away. Log your personal conveyance. Put notations in your ELD for safety director, or if you get stopped that same day, and tell them, look, this is what happened. And at that point, if the officer is actually doing his job and paying attention, and reading it out, you're like, okay, clearly. Because I'll get guys with 14-hour violations all the time. If I look at the log and I'll see there was where the violation happened, it's literally maybe because he's like, I was at a gas station, or I was at a truck stop, they came beating on the door and said, hey, you can't park in this one, move to another spot.
Yeah.
He said, and it literally,
the
OR didn't even move. It just shows the GPS location changed. Because I'm at one latitude right here.
Yeah,
I'm at
exactly.
one right here.
Exactly.
Just because it's so microscopic.
So let me ask you this: what about what and I'll let you go, I know you're busy, but what about the DOT inspections? Like when you're out driving, what determines, is it just you if you want to do a level 1, 2, or 3 on somebody?
It's basically dealer's choice depending on what we see. Well, I just do a random to random, you know, because we have the 1, 2s, and 3s. If usually, at least in my book, everything starts out as a level 3.
Okay.
Because that's the bare minimum, because I can escalate it. I can't really downgrade it.
Correct.
Technically I can, but let's say I just pulled you over, just like, I just need to do an inspection. Or I just pulled.
They're like right there. You're bored. You're not bored,
but
you
once I get up there, I see something that falls under a truck or a trailer violation. Let's say annual inspection's missing, or I realize your headlight's out and I didn't see it when you drove by me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to escalate that to level 2, which is a walk-around. And then if I see something even worse, then I can escalate it to a 1. There's some I'll intentionally stop with the intentions of doing a 2 or 3. If I'm sitting there and if it was just, I see a truck drive by with no DOT numbers on the side of it, okay, at least a level 2.
Right.
If I drive by and I see
got a flat tire,
flat tires, or if I see something that's, you know, if it's a hydraulic truck, I was like, okay, that's probably gonna be a level 1, because that's a less evasive inspection for a hydraulic. It's more evasive for air brake. So,
okay.
Because we have to go up under it.
Right.
We don't have to crawl up under it.
Yeah, so I just know sometimes you come through here and they'll say, go to the barn, or I don't know if there's a barn. Is there a barn here? Or?
They won't build a barn here.
Okay. But you know what I'm talking about, or they take you straight to the bay. Or...
That makes it easier. That's why we have to be a little bit more choosy when we do level
right.
air brakes, because now if it's an air disc, like the new versions,
right.
we ain't got to roll up under that. We just need to at least check the air hoses, listen for air leaks, and we ain't got to roll up under there with a dolly. When it comes to hazmats, it's 2 or above with them. We can't do level 3 on a hazmat load. Just because of federal regulations on those inspections. We have to at least a level 2 and 1 is where cargo securement is checked. Level 3, we don't check cargo securement.
Right, you're just doing paperwork.
Hazmat's involved, we have to check its cargo securement no matter what.
Okay.
So it's a 2 or a 1 on hazmat, and y'all don't haul hazmat. So
okay.
And then stuff like that. If like instant 2s, like if I see a flatbed walk by and I drive by and I see straps flapping, and I know it's not just the excess strap. Right. I know like that thing's loose. Well,
I appreciate you taking the time to help me. I'm Shawn. Tell your mom I said hey.
All right, I will. She's probably at work today.
Yeah. She watches me on my YouTube channel. I just do educational videos to help drivers out.
That's say YouTube loves us. That's right.
Yeah, y'all be good, man. Thank you. Hey, if you thought that video was interesting, make sure you hit the like button and make sure you subscribe. And if you have any questions, I don't mind stopping and going into the DOT and asking the questions. I know a lot of y'all are scared because you don't want to have nothing to happen, or you just don't like messing with them. Well, if you're curious about a question, leave it on the comments. If I don't know the answer, I will go into the line then myself and get them questions for you. So, hey, it's Travel Line with Shawn, baby. Let's get it.